All right, as they're getting seated, we're now going to hear some words of Torah from Archie.
Shabbat Shalom. I'd like to thank you all for coming today. Bar Mitzvah is an important thing. I've been so excited for mine to finally happen after all these years. I've had to consider many things in planning this, from the quiet party my brother had, to the loud party my sister had, to the really loud parties that some of my friends have had. I ended up deciding that I should do a Simpson theme. I love The Simpsons, and it is one of my favorite shows. I'd like to thank all my family for helping me prepare. It took a lot of hard work, but eventually I figured everything out. Since I am now a bar mitzvah, I will have a lot more responsibilities, in many ways. Like how, since I'm now 13, I'm a teenager, which means that school is probably going to get harder, and I will have other hard things in life. Saying all this because it relates to my Torah portion and more. Talks about many things, but it mostly entails the things that ancient Jewish priests can and can't do. The first thing is that they can't defile themselves for people who have died. To defile oneself means to be impurified or to do something you're not supposed to. The sad part is, it also applies to their families. If a family member died, they couldn't go to their funeral. The only funerals they would be allowed to go to are their mother, father, brother, or unmarried sister. The second main responsibility the priests had to follow was that they couldn't shave any parts of their head, shave their beard, or make gashes in their flesh. This was because people who did these things practiced idolatry. Idolatry was the practice of worshiping idols. Doing this was very frowned upon by these priests because the Jews believed that they didn't need to worship an idol. They only need to worship the one true God. Idolatry is also frowned upon because some people who worship idols went as far as sacrificing children to please their idols, or so they thought. When I first saw my portion, I wasn't sure how I would explain it. One part's translation says, "When the daughter of a priest defiles herself through harlotry, it is her father whom she defiles. She shall be put to the fire." I'm not going to explain what harlotry is because it's pretty inappropriate, but the other parts of it mean that if your father is a priest, well, don't do that because, well, you heard what I said. Okay, all these things that priests had to do were typically taxing and hard, but some things made it worth it being a priest. Being a priest meant that they had many responsibilities, but they were looked up to. It was an honor to be a priest, no matter what they had to do. They may have not wanted to be a priest because they didn't have a choice whether they were one or not. If their father was a priest, then they automatically became one. They were born into it. No one can for sure say what they thought since none of the ancient priests are alive anymore, but they most likely weren't happy, although they probably liked being honored. The priests were probably also very pressured. With all the things that they couldn't do, they were extremely important to follow, or else they wouldn't be looked up to anymore. I relate this to myself because preparing for my bar mitzvah has been extremely hard. I've had to learn my Torah portion, write the speech, and practice everything so much. What I have to do isn't as taxing as what the priest had to do, but what I had to do was still hard. This also relates to what I would have to do if I were in the time of these ancient priests. My Jewish heritage goes back to the ancient tribe of the Hebrews known as the Levites, that you can now put together why my last name is Levin. Anyway, the Levites were basically in charge of helping the priests with everything. If they needed the Levites to do something, they would be there, more specifically, like setting everything up for ceremonies and other things like that. Most of the stuff that I've been talking about might seem a little harsh, and I completely agree with that statement. Today, priests still follow some of these rules, but not as strictly. Like most priests, they still stay away from dead bodies at cemeteries. I don't think any priest burned their daughters for committing harlotry, so that rule is definitely not followed anymore. Judaism is very important to me and my family. As long as I can remember, I've been celebrating Jewish holidays with my family. Whenever I think of Judaism, I think of celebrating holidays like Hanukkah or Passover. I've been lucky to be immersed in Jewish culture all my life. It is one of the major parts of my life. Now that I'm officially a bar mitzvah, there's some things that I can do now. One of the things is that I can be counted in a minyan. Not as a minyan, not like the little yellow guy. So, a minyan is a service in the morning and afternoon where a group of at least 10 Jewish adults get together to pray and recite certain blessings and benedictions. After you become a bar or bat mitzvah, you can be counted towards the 10 needed for the minyan to happen. Another thing that I can do now is that if I'm at a, say, Shabbat service, I can get called up to the Torah and read like any other Jewish adult. For my mitzvah project, I'm going to be volunteering at the Niagara SPCA. A mitzvah project is doing good deeds or just generally helping others. In my case, the Niagara SPCA, where I am volunteering, is an animal shelter. I'm going to be helping animals by doing certain tasks like fundraising, donating toys, or other helpful things. I'm specifically going to be working with cats and maybe dogs. Animals are very important to me. I've always loved animals since I was a little kid, so when I was thinking about what I might do for my bar mitzvah project, helping animals was the first and best thing that came to my mind. I would like to thank several people for helping me prepare for this day. Rabbi Alex, Cantor Frank, and Mr. Horowitz for all their hard work in helping me prepare. Thank you to Joanne, Todd, and everyone at the temple for helping make this such a wonderful place to have my bar mitzvah. I especially like to thank my mom and my dad for making everything possible. They prepared everything, and I appreciate them so much. Without them, none of this would be possible. I'd like to thank my siblings, Charlie and Parker, for always nagging me to practice and always helping me when I needed it. Finally, I'd like to thank my grandparents for always standing by me and supporting everything I do. Without all these people, none of this would be truly possible. So great thanks to everyone who helped me. Thank you.